Alright, let's talk about the X-Men's chaotic journey into the MCU. Wait, no, let me rephrase that. This isn't just a new movie, it's a full-blown existential crisis for superhero storytelling. Because here's the thing, Marvel isn't just rebooting the X-Men. They're trying to reverse engineer a franchise that spent 20 years zigzagging between brilliance and disaster. And honestly, the pieces they're assembling might create something revolutionary, or a dumpster fire. Let's unpack this. First off, the casting. Sadie Sink as Jean Grey? Samara Weaving as Emma Frost? At first glance, this feels like Marvel throwing darts at a board labeled hot young actors. But wait, Sink played Max in Stranger Things, a role that required balancing vulnerability and raw power. Jean Grey needs that exact duality. And Weaving? She spent years in horror and indie films mastering the art of icy, unsettling charm. Emma Frost thrives on that energy. So is this just typecasting, or genius? In my opinion, Marvel's leaning into actors who've already proven they can carry emotional weight, which suggests this movie might prioritize character drama over CGI explosions. And honestly, that's terrifying in the best way. Now, here's where things get weird. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are back as Charles Xavier and Magneto. But wait, aren't these characters supposed to be younger in a reboot? Unless, they're not. What if this movie isn't a soft reboot but a multiverse playground? Stewart's Professor X is already appearing in Avengers, Doomsday, so maybe the new X-Men film is the MCU's legacy chapter, where old guard mutants collide with new recruits. Imagine Magneto mentoring a Gen Z Cyclops, played by Kit Connor, who's already proven he can do brooding intensity in Heartstopper. That tension between tradition and reinvention? That's the X-Men's whole shtick. Marvel might be accidentally nailing the core of the comics by just panicking about continuity. Let's talk directors and writers. Jake Schreier, who helmed Thunderbolts and episodes of Beef, is attached. And the script? Co-written by Lee Sung-jin, Beef, and Joanna Kahlo, The Bear. These are people who built their careers on intimate, dialogue-driven storytelling. The Bear isn't about explosions, it's about stress-induced breakdowns in a kitchen. So what happens when that sensibility collides with mutant powers? I'm picturing an X-Men movie where the team argues about rent while fighting Sentinels. But here's the kicker, the X-Men have always been metaphors for real-world struggles. If these writers lean into that, we could get a story where Storm's weather powers are tied to climate anxiety, or Nightcrawler's teleportation becomes a metaphor for alienation. This isn't just a superhero film, it's a thesis statement. And then there's the Wolverine question. Hugh Jackman's shadow looms so large that Marvel might skip recasting him entirely. Which makes sense. How do you follow a guy who turned a Sideburns meme into an Oscar nomination? But here's a wild thought, what if Wolverine isn't the lead? The X-Men's bench is deep. Maybe this movie finally lets Storm or Beast step into the spotlight. Or, dare I say it, focuses on the Hellfire Club's corporate villainy? Because if there's one thing the MCU needs, it's richer villains than guy who wants to snap everyone. Emma Frost's a telepathic capitalist who could out-negotiate Thanos. That's the kind of conflict that makes me lean in. But let's zoom out. Why does any of this matter? Because the X-Men's arrival could force the MCU to grow up. Right now, the MCU is stuck in a cycle of nostalgia bait and algorithmic content. The X-Men, at their best, are about marginalized people fighting for a world that hates them. That's not a villain of the week arc, that's a cultural reckoning. If Marvel gets this right, they won't just launch a new superhero team. They'll create a mirror for every kid who feels like a freak. And if they fail? Well, we'll all be stuck wondering why we ever believed in the dream. So, thoughts? Do you think this team can pull off the impossible? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Because trust me, this is a train wreck, or a masterpiece, we'll all want to witness together.